Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to order. My name is Robert Link. I'm the chair of the disciplinary committee. We have two matters before us. Now, there's an October 18th, 2024 complaint from Talene Dickerson and an October 20th, 2024 complaint from Carla Borsati. I want to open the floor for any testimony on either of these complaints. Is anyone who's not one of the complainants or the subject of the complaint want to testify?
I do.
Is that Denise?
Yes, Denise Echeverria.
Okay, hold on one second. Just a point of order. Hold on, point of order.
Do we need to go into executive session?
So, okay, with respect to the point on executive session, I looked into this. And here, I'm going to give George and Talene. I don't have that many copies. I got one for Ariel and George and Talene. So if you look at this packet of documents and you skip, it's one of the last pages. It says 29 on the bottom right-hand corner. And that's from the 2015 version of the guide to the community boards. I think, George, at the last meeting you handed up, I think it was the 2010 version. Now, I went to the borough president's office and I checked some of the other community board websites. This was the most recent version I could find for anything, and that's 2015. And this says that you can go into executive session, but it is permissive, not mandatory, and it has to be subject to a vote of the committee. And if the majority of the committee believes that the proceedings should be put, or part of the proceedings should be put into executive session, then we'll take a vote. And then if that vote is to take the case or take the matter into executive session, that's exactly what we'll do. Otherwise, it would, any attempt to not disclose those proceedings or keep them confidential would be in contravention of the open records law. So unless there's something sensitive being discussed or a compelling reason, my preference would be, until we get to a point where there's something sensitive that's going to be said, that we just have a public hearing.
Well, I guess I would have two concerns. The first being trying to figure out the phrase there. You afforded me three options. I requested one option. I told them to just vote on it. That's it. The fact that we're sort of litigating it is a cause for concern. Or asking for testimony. And secondly, it opens up the door to concerns that I've shared with you and the committee about previous instances that were shared, should not have been shared with the committee. And I will be filing a formal complaint on that after this is done. But that is my concern. You're opening this up in a public forum, discussing. Now, again, for board members, this is perfectly fine. We're not excluding board members, but I don't know if there's anybody here in the general public. They don't need to know what's going on.
Yeah, my only response to that is the comments that were made as before the board, before this committee, was made in a public forum. So it's not as if it's something that's private. It was made, it's on YouTube, it's on any place that anyone wants to watch and see. So that in and of itself is not private. It's actually in the public sphere. Right?
Understood.
The other incident, I guess that one was done privately. I don't believe that there was any YouTube. It was not the second complaint was not. I don't think it was in a public forum. So I could understand your concern regarding that. But with respect to
Well,
other issues, it's not anything that's private that no one will, it's easily accessible if they go to the board meeting and pull up the exchange that
My response to that is that we had the meeting. Again, I chose, I was given the three options in the email that was sent to me. I requested the first option, which was dismissal, based on the fact that I'm still confused. What am I defending myself against?
Okay, yeah, so you can move for dismissal, and you have moved for dismissal, and that is going to be taken into account when everything is fully submitted. If you have any other additional comments that you want to be considered by the committee, but again, this committee will decide your request, which is, do we have authority or has there been a prima facie statement to actually have these proceedings and make rulings or find you in violation of anything. So that's what this committee is going to do pursuant to your request. But I don't think it makes sense to have that first initial meeting, make a decision on that issue, then drag this out another month or two. In fact, if you look at the procedures that are provided by the community board, what it says is you get a complaint, and then the person who's the subject of the complaint gets 10 days to respond, and then it's fully submitted. So we're kind of going above and beyond to make sure that there's due process here. What I'll say is anything that is said at today's hearing, if either the complainant or anyone who's the subject of the complaint wants to make a final response to something that is said at today's hearing in direct response to that, no new arguments, obviously. But, then we'll have a final date where everyone can submit documents or submit final statements, sometime in January. But we'll get there when we get there. But as far as, I tend to agree with Wayne. I'm going to move right now for a motion to keep this hearing public, but just denying your request without prejudice to a future request that you might have if you think this hearing is veering into some sort of prejudicial territory, embarrassing territory, or something that affects, specifics to why there's the exception to the open meetings law. If there is a specific concern, I think we can revisit that, but I just want to have a vote real quickly about whether to put the full proceedings in. This is a vote against putting the full proceedings into executive session. So I'll ask for a vote. Second the vote, or second the motion. Okay. All who agree on keeping this session public without prejudice to a future request, if it veers into sensitive information, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Nay. Okay, so we're going to keep this a public session for now without prejudice to renewing the application if the meeting veers into sensitive information or allegations.
and I'd like to add, the information that's going to be provided today by the complainant should be in addition to whatever you've already submitted. You've already submitted the complaint. If you have additional information that you want to submit, that's fine, but we'll move that into the record. If you want the YouTube clip to be moved into the record, we'll move that into the record also. If there's anything additional that you want to put in, that's so be it. But
Okay.
I don't want to drag this thing out where we're repeating the same thing that's already been laid out in the complaint and in the YouTube video.
I'm sorry, wait, say the last part.
I don't want you to repeat the same information that we already have. If it's already detailed in your complaint, it's already presented on, and we obviously have the YouTube video of the exchange. Then I don't think we need to actually take testimony because we can move all those into the record. I think the
Yeah, I agree. There's no need to be repetitive, sure. Okay, let's go back to Denise, who had testimony and requested to speak. So go ahead, Denise.
First, I would like to say I have nothing but the utmost respect for Talene Dickerson. Um, he's been in service for the community board for quite a few years. I look to her as a role model. The day of question, I felt that George Torres singled her out. I thought it was a form of bullying. The fact that he felt to mention her name and then repeated, and then I saw the look in his face, and I felt it was a form of bullying. Someone of Talene Dickerson's caliber, who has served our community for many years, should not have to be treated that way by the district manager. I also feel that we need to read out his exact duties so that it is clear what his mission on our community board is. I feel that he should not have singled her out. I felt it was bias and a form of bullying, and it was unnecessary. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Denise. Is there anyone else who's not a complainant or subject to the complaint that wants to give testimony today? Okay. That being said, Talene, did you want to state anything for the record?
Hold on, guys. Hold on, I was eating. Hello?
Go ahead, Alfredo, before we get to Talene. Go ahead, Alfredo.
Yeah, so I mean, again, I'm still confused as to this whole situation that's going on. I mean, I was there when Tarlene had came over, and George, you know, I love you, I got respect for you, nothing personal, okay? I mean, I just want to keep it 100 with you, you know what I'm saying? But that particular day, I did feel that you crossed the line with Tarlene. You know that, you know, Tarlene, you know, she's not sick, God bless her, but you know, she had, how can I say it? Not that she was sick, but she's sick in the sense that she was not supposed to be in our meetings. And we knew that. And she came. And that day, for some reason, she had mentioned something or said something, and you like said something back to her that she felt offended. And I think at that moment, and I'm not speaking for nobody, I think Talene just wanted you to say or to apologize for, you know, what you said or the way you treated her that day at that meeting. That's what I think she was expecting. And not only did you not do that, you you know moved away from her when she sat next to you, or vice versa, or she sat next to you and she moved away. And again, we speaking, all right? I don't want nobody to feel offended. I don't want nobody to feel a certain way. I don't want nobody to treat nobody differently. But we're keeping it 100. You know, I got respect for George. I got respect for Talene. We all here, and I always say this, we all here as volunteers. We've given a lot of our time. I've been on this board 15 years. Taleem's been here 15, 16 years. We've been on this board for many years. We don't ask for nothing in return, right? We've done guy and screamed at by the public. We've done guy and screamed at by the, you know, the constituents. The last thing we need is to get screamed at by one of our own. And George, you know that when the one of our chairs was there and he came at you the wrong way, I stood up for you because it was wrong. So again, I'm just speaking my mind. I don't want nobody to feel offended. I don't want nobody to feel a certain way. We all grown-ups here. If anybody has a particular issue with what I'm saying, I mean, y'all could reach out to me or we see each other on Friday, but I'm just saying this. I'm saying what I'm saying based on my facts, what I saw, and nobody put me to speak, nobody put me to nothing. I just saying what I'm saying. I'm gonna go back to eat now.
Thanks, Alfredo. Anyone else who's not a complainant or George want to make comments? Anybody else? Anyone online? Okay. No one else wanting to make comments who's not a complainant. Talene, did you want to make any comments?
Um, probably just maybe two things to say, which is one, which Wayne mentioned, the fact that what was said in public, what was said to me is on YouTube. I've had a lot of people call me and say, oh, this is so disrespectful. I'm so sorry that this happened to you. Whatever the situation is. I didn't need and appreciated them contacting me, but I didn't need to be out there. My health is my health. It's not like anybody is confused about why I'm out. Just like we're sitting here now, it's the same as we were sitting that night. My situation demands that my immune system is taken care of, right? And I was trying to keep my immune system covered. That's why I'm always wearing a mask. I mean, it's like I'm explaining to people constantly now, which I didn't need. I gave the opportunity when I said, are you speaking to me? I gave the opportunity that I was hoping that he was going to say, that George Torres was going to say, no, Colleen, I know what your situation is. That's what I was hoping for when I gave that out. It was doubled down. And I'm not sure when exactly. If I'm not mistaken, I think that the chair is the person that addresses attendance, not the district manager, if I'm clear. And I'm not the only person that's absent from meeting. As a matter of fact, I'm at every meeting. Virtually. I came to that meeting that night because there was a quorum situation. And I knew there was going to be a small amount of people. And I would be staying. As I said it in my statement, I contacted the transplant team first. I told them that, no, get there, it doesn't work out. But I came to have a quorum to pass the things that was necessary for us to talk about and pass that night. Not to be singled out, not for any to make any harassing, discriminatory statements toward me, not to embarrass me in front of new people that happen to be there, which is why I said that. Because I felt like if you don't know my situation, then it looked like, I don't show up to any meetings. So that's
Thank you, Tulane. Is there,
My hand is waiting to give me my computer. I have two things to say. One, for all the years I've been here, I've always been told that we should go into executive session. I asked for clarification from the borough presidents, asked for it once, they still haven't got back to me to me to think that they don't want to involve. But I know what they're saying about open doors, but that's I just want to train. Number two is if the complaint is a individual don't we have to just stick to that instead of other things?
Guys, unfortunately, we cannot hear. I don't know if maybe your
okay, all right.
microphone.
So let me just restate because Ursula wasn't anywhere close to a microphone. Ursula spoke. She said she was raising her hand when I asked initially that, is anyone who's not the complainants have testimony. So she said she wanted to make 2 points. Her first point was that she does not believe, she does believe that in a matter like this, we were supposed to go into executive session. That's how she was trained. And her second point was that if the complaint is about ageism and healthism, don't we have to stick to that and, not other things? So I guess I'll address that before we move on. But I think we addressed the executive session issue. I provided George a copy of the authority that I'm relying on in saying that we don't need to go into executive session. They're free to, George, I mean, we've been wrong before, I mean, there's been misreading of guidelines before, but I feel pretty confident that we handled that issue correctly. But I gave you the guidelines, so if you disagree with that, or Ursula disagrees with me on that point, they're free to just go ahead and shoot me a message and explain why we're wrong on that matter. And then as far as what the complaint is about and all those issues, that's going to be a determination for the committee. Is there a violation of some sort of code of ethics? Is there a violation of the New York City Charter? We'll look at all the relevant authorities and we'll come to an agreement based on the information as it's presented. Okay. So with that being said, I know who else? Was there anyone else who wanted to speak on the complaint? Go ahead, Talene.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What point was this considered ageism and
No one has ever said ageism or.
No.
That's
Who said that? It's not in the
our
complaint.
chair.
Your chairman said
Okay,
that, but
so actually, the protocol for this hearing, the way I would like to do this hearing is that one individual has an opportunity to speak. Those comments are submitted. Then there's responsive comments that can be made. And then I think we'll talk once everyone gets an opportunity to talk and give everyone a final opportunity just to submit anything in writing that they want us to consider that isn't repetitive, that we don't know about already, and is responsive, not new, to something that was said today or was received in this packet. Okay. So with that said, Carla, do you have anything to add?
you should do.
Yeah, she's right there. I see her on the screen.
Oh, hi. Yeah, sorry, the sound quality remotely is rather poor. Were you asking me if I have?
Yeah, Carla, I was
Anything
asking, did you want to make any public statement?
I know simply that my issues are a little different from Colleen's in that I don't think it should take a week to schedule a committee meeting and have it delayed because the office insisted we didn't have a bylaws committee, it no longer existed, and our chair was not allowed to serve as the chair, and several other reasons that were just not backed up by any fact. So, there are different issues going on here.
Okay. All right. And George, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I guess not to be repetitive, I stand on my simple email response, but to address Colleen's thing. Ursula and I had a meeting with our chair where she stated that you were claiming ageism and Carla was claiming discriminatory behavior. But then I guess I never received the emails that were sent. They were sent to the chair of this committee, which he sent to me, and I responded. The only thing that I would add, Ariel approached me at the end of the meeting as walking out, and what did you say to me? Do you recall what you said to me?
I do recall, but if you're gonna make a statement, you should make the statement, and I'll just like.
Well, no, I'm just.
No, I agree. I agree with Ariel. Go ahead. Just keep it to your testimony.
Said, oh, Colleen was upset. So that was unbeknownst to me. And the only reason that I came back down here was because, as I said, when I sat down right there in that corner, which Colleen was sitting where our chair is sitting now, I said I had connectivity problem. You couldn't hear me, similar to what Ursula just encountered. So I came down here, and Tolene got up, and she said, I believe you there, or just seat right there. And I responded by saying, oh, I guess I'm not good enough to sit next to. And again, after the meeting, you approached me, you said, oh, Tolene was upset.
Who, me? Who?
No, Ariel came to me. She said, oh, Tolene is upset, you should apologize. And I apologized. And Tolene said no. And then that was it. And she walked out the door.
You said you did apologize.
I did.
And Tolene walked out.
I'm sorry?
Who walked out the door?
Tolene. She didn't say anything to me. She just kept going.
Okay, anything else? George?
Do you need to address that?
No.
Again,
George is done.
I don't know what I'm defending myself against because there is no ism here there's no discriminatory behavior. I'm surprised to say, board members, that I'm bullying anybody. I'm not bullying anybody. I speak in a very straightforward tone. I treat everybody as my equal. I don't treat you as superiors. And that's just, I don't know if I'm supposed to address Carla's comments. Okay, so then I'm fine. I stand on what I mean.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the committee have anything to say? You don't have to. but
Okay,
if you'd like to.
I can respond to that.
If you'd like
and
to.
I'll just make a statement like to have bearing. So that did happen, but there's context that you're missing in between. First, when I did approach you about it, just as today, you were unsure of what you said, what was the issue of what you said. When you approached Tolene about it, the way that you apologized, she did not take because, again, I don't know if you understood the full totality of what you were saying, but you were saying in a reference like, oh, like you're apologizing because you don't want to, offend her, but I don't think you fully understood what the offense was when you were apologizing to her, and we were outside and she did not take that apology. So I would say that, and I think that for another clarity issue is that since we are, you're being addressed with the issue, and I know that you said the chair told you was ageism, disability, and I don't want to go into like what other people are saying because it's going to turn into like hearsay, and like the chair is also not here to say what she's saying, so I don't want us to get off. But I do think that there has to be an understanding because George, I think every time that this is being brought up, you're still confused, like you still need clarity. And even though that we're getting this information and then we're gonna like bring it to you is like and Tolene, correct me if I'm incorrect, she stated that she has a health issue. It was on YouTube, and she felt that you commenting on her lack of visibility within the meetings and the committee was a shot at her. So I just want us to be kind of clear because I think that if we're moving forward, it can't just continue to be like not sure. You don't know why you're here or whatever. Like you could know why you're here and then just disagree with like what was said. But I just want us to be all on the same page. Is that okay to say?
That's fine. Anyone else on the committee? Wayne, did you have anything to add?
No, I like everyone else here. I know Ariel was at the that meeting that the incident place because I watched the YouTube video, and I think whenever Tolene's complaint and looking at the video, I understand what her grievances with George, and she wasn't alleging ageism, but she was not alleging any EEO complaint, so to speak. We have certain duties here, and each of us has certain responsibility, and you're the district manager. And there is a line. We are volunteers. You are an employee of the city of New York. And you are here to give us directions at times when we don't know things. That's because you're knowledgeable about things. But there has to be some type of decorum of how we address and speak to each other as adults. And when I watched that, I too was somewhat taken aback. I had no idea that you would apologize to Tolene And did he apologize to you? Did he make an apology? I'm not saying whether or not it was a valid apology or not. I'm just saying, did George make an apology?
Can I get?
No, just yes or no.
I have to explain.
No, but no, you can explain, but I'm saying, did he actually say out of his mouth, I'm sorry?
He said sorry.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you accepted that apology, because it may not have been something that you felt was sincere.
No.
I get it. All right.
But the idea was that I was in transit, I was outside, I was not in here and walked away. We were outside. I was not in here and walked away.
Okay.
We were walking out of the door. She was in the doorway, he was outside. And in terms of me moving, again, that had to do, the way we were sitting,
No, yeah,
that way because they were honoring my immune system.
right. Understand.
So it wasn't, I got up and he sat next to me so that I could do that,
Right, understand.
take care of my health.
Okay. Any final comment? George, you have anything else? Because there was.
I mean, again, I guess what I'm having trouble with, my comments were to make a point about addressing the concern that was raised during the committee, which was that we have a lack of quorum for our meetings. The complainant, who does not attend meetings in person, was at the meeting in person, and I raised that point. Now, I understand you were offended by it, but there was no malice, as you stated, in my comment. Nobody said anything. The chair of that committee didn't address anything. It wasn't, anything other than, and like I said, I was unaware of it until Ariel approached me. Nobody was outside because I was walking into this room so that I could break down the room for the evening. And Ariel approached me right before the door, so nobody was outside. And she said, Pauline is upset. And I said, okay. And she explained to me why she was upset. And I said, well, I'm sorry. And that was the extent of it. And you're absolutely right. You kept walking out the door. And that was it. That was the extent of it. I get a phone call several weeks later. I get the email chain now that there's 2 complaints. And this is why, for example, why I wanted it on to be not public. Because you have a situation where people don't know all the facts. And, certain things are said. Again, I'm not privy to what was said. I'm just telling you, from my position, my chair, our chair, Beatrice Cornell, came and made statements in a video conference. Ursula was there.
Is this outside of?
I'm sorry?
Is this what you're presenting now? This information outside of the complaint? Or
yeah, no. So this was before. Like she said, she made statements that I just said seconds ago, attributed to you, and then she made statements attributed to Carla. And she claimed all the isms, the ageism, health discrimination, and there's certain protocols, and which is why my response was very simple in its response. I didn't come here planning to defend myself or anything like that, because I don't know what I'm defending myself against. I wasn't bullying anybody. We were having a conversation, and I offered a talking point so that the board could talk about it, because we are one of the few community boards that do hybrid.
right? And you did say all of that by listening.
Yeah.
You said
So it again. I am very straightforward with people. I don't treat anybody
No,
So.
no. And
I understand your point about the quorum. I'm just saying I would like to know what it is exactly that was offensive or malicious. Was there a word that triggered the maliciousness? Or, as stated here, that I was bullied. apparently I had a look on my face that, and we have people here making statements that my apology was not sincere.
I mean,
again,
George, I don't want to interrupt you. I want to give you every
Yeah,
opportunity,
but
but sometimes you got to take people for their word.
I
Yeah,
understand.
two complaints that I'm sure the individuals who wrote these complaints aren't trying to create work for themselves and aren't trying to create work for the disciplinary committee. I have no doubt that these complaints are sincere. You can look at the complaints; they've been provided to you. In fact, I think that this committee should give George, Talene, and anybody else who, or no, any of the complainants, rather, not anybody else. At this time, I don't want to hear any more outside third-party testimony. But if George or Talene or Carla have anything else that they want to add, I don't know, between now and January 10th, maybe they can submit one final.
I really don't even think that there may be some, like January 10th that's more than.
I think that's more than enough time to respond. Again, this is merely a complaint that was received and a response to the complaint that was received. That's all this is. This has nothing to do with allegations of certain isms. There's nothing to do with allegations from Beatriz. I have no idea. That's not in the record. That's not before this committee. What is before the committee, as stated on numerous occasions, is a complaint dated October 18th, 2024, and a complaint dated October 20th, 2024. We're giving any party involved more than ample opportunity to put in their testimony. And then I'm going to say that the complainants and George have one last opportunity to put in information between now and January 10th in writing. Go ahead, Talene. Just sure.
Cannot see in the video, but people who were here did see that after the statement was made, I started crying. I mean, seriously crying. I got up from the table, correct? Walked away. I was, Ariel came behind me to make sure that I was okay because of the way in which I cried. So I'm not sure.
No.
Could be confused that this did not affect me. That's all.
Go ahead, George. You're recognized.
Well, you just said we shouldn't be repetitive. Again, this is me not trying. It's in the complaint. As I stated, I wasn't here. I was in my office. Was I back here, Tony, when you got up and cried?
No. You do not address the complaints. You have an opportunity to respond to any of the allegations that were made. Okay. You're going to have an opportunity between now and January 10th to put anything else in writing. I don't want a public argument over these issues.
But see, this is.
Yeah, so this is Carla. I just want
Carla,
to.
you're not recognized. Carla, you're not recognized.
Okay. Sorry.
Carla, you're not recognized. Go ahead, George.
So we're in a situation where I guess the claimant, I don't know, should I address you as Tolene? I have no idea. Tolene just you asked us not to be repetitive and only to introduce new information, which is what I've done. And again, very sort of matter of fact way. To respond to Tolene's statement, I'm back here. As I stated, I was sitting in my office. I was having problems because just like Ursula, I was trying to raise my hand and I wasn't being recognized. So I came back here. At that point, like I said, Tolene was seated where Bobby is, and I won't, So that's why Ariel, I guess, approached me because, but you made a statement just now, Robert, that people shouldn't be taken at their face value. And I think that should apply as well to me. I did make an apology. It was not shared in the complaint. One of the people on one of the committee people was the one who pointed it out to me. And again, this was all happening in real time. Like this was all happening that evening. And then subsequently, I got hit with all these complaints, to which I told the chair of our committee, Ms. Gordon, you have to make the point, which is, again, I don't know, and it's not because I'm trying to be silly or something. What is the code of conduct? But what is it that set off this thing? Because I think we're in a situation now where it's really upsetting to me because as a city employee, I've always treated everybody, and not even as a city employee, just as a regular person, one-to-one, I've always treated everybody with respect. I've never treated anybody with deference. And up until that point, Tolene and I were cool. Tolene would call me and make statements and stuff like that, and I thought everything was fine. All of this, I think, is happening because I understand that it's embarrassing that I said what I said because it did single you out. But that wasn't done maliciously or anything. It was done to make a point about going back to in-person meetings. That was the context in which it was said. So, the idea that this has become a full-blown, and to address your complaint or your suggestion that we go back, I'm fine with you guys making a vote this evening. I don't know that there's anything for me to defend because I don't know what the defense is of it. I was not menacing. I was not bullying. I was, again, the way I'm talking now, which is the way I always talk.
I understand. I mean, perspectives, right? So, question though, I want to give you an opportunity to respond. You didn't have a chance to respond to Carla's complaint. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
And it's here, so I think you may have probably should respond to it in some way.
I mean, I know she's been waiting to want to.
No, I mean, she had nothing else to say. She did say that she stands by the complaint that she writes. Now,
Carla, did you have anything else to say? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I didn't have the floor.
Go ahead.
video
Did you have
kinda
something to
cocked
add
out.
that hasn't been covered?
Okay. Okay. No, I just wanted to say, I didn't have witnesses to my frustration because it was all via email, but there is a whole email string. I was operating on instructions from the chair of an ad hoc committee to schedule a meeting, and I was told the committee did not exist by the office. So I just don't understand how that happens. And then that the chairman couldn't be the chairman. I just don't understand how that happens with no factual backing. And it's very frustrating to try and accomplish what our subcommittees now are trying to accomplish when we have to prove we exist. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that out there because I feel like the fact that I don't have witnesses to that is undermining my case that decisions were made based on information that did not exist. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. All right. So why don't we move?
I did want to respond.
Go ahead, George. You can respond.
No, just point out, Carla, I don't know who she's referring to, if she's referring to Paul Stricker or if that's the chair of the committee or if she's referring to Beatrice Cornell. Carla sent an email requesting a date. She was not specific in the date that she wanted. We were arguing policy and procedures, and I shouldn't even say arguing, we were having a conversation about it, to which Beatrice Cornell, again, our chair, was copied on all of those emails. And my emails were not to Carla or to Carl. They were to Beatrice. Carla was copied on those emails. And I was having a conversation to which Carla was responding, not our chair. And again, as Carla points out, there is a whole email chain in regards to that.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to propose, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this hearing, that The complainants and George have until January 10th to submit any other documents in response to anything that was said today or anything that's included in this packet of materials that was provided. And Carla, maybe Ursula can give you a copy. George, can you
Okay.
make sure?
Speaking of that.
Okay. Can you just have this sent to Carla? Sure. So everyone has until January 10th, and after that, we'll render a report.
John, one last one,
Michelle,
just for clarity. You were aware that Talina was sick, right?
I'm sorry?
You were aware that she was sick, that Talina, and that she had heart surgery, right?
Yeah.
And you were aware that something similar to when you were out for almost 3 months because of your own illness. Right? I'm not saying the same, but you were out for 3 months before the illness.
Well, I mean,
That, right, Mr. Yes or no?
yeah, okay.
That's right. It was made clear to the chair and also me that she wouldn't be able to make these meetings because of her illness and because of her compromised immune system.
No, there is no request for a, what do you call it, reasonable accommodations? Isn't that a formal request?
True.
There is not standing in this community.
Well,
We are aware, we have a chapter 56, which was just recently amended at our last full board meeting. Actually, which is more
wait,
restrictive.
just a second. One thing. She didn't make an application. Oh, we wish for.
No, that she never made an application.
Right. But what we were of her illness.
Oh, yeah, I'm aware.
And that she was having a heart transplant. We were fully aware of it.
Yeah, and our chapter 56 allows for people to be remote.
Okay. All right.
And like I said, the chapter 56 allows for people. We do not specify. How do you say it? I want to be like the professional terminology, but it's very free. You can claim age on ours and say I can't make it because of the weather,
Yeah.
whatever. Like it's very broad.
Yeah, I got
Fit anyway. So there is no reasonable accommodations. But if you're going to stand on principles and make a formal complaint to a discipline committee, which is now broadcasted, then claiming a certain thing, then yes, I think that there should be. To respond to when I was sick with cancer, I was out because I had a sick note. And when the doctor's sick note ran out, I came back to work, just like everybody else that works.
But you also said in your response, you said created this hybrid system, and we have this hybrid system. And so she was taking advantage of that hybrid system.
I'm just giving you the facts.
Okay. All right.
But if you're claiming,
No, I'm not claiming. I'm just trying to get clarity.
I'm just giving you the facts. I'm not trying to be prejudiced.
No. Just trying to get
No,
clarity.
just piggyback on questions. I think that you're basically saying you're basically stating the same things that you stated that day about quorum, correct? You said that you were raising the issue of attendance because of quorum. What you're saying that you had knowledge that Tolene has a health issue and concern. Are we aware that we have other board members who have health issues and concerns that may or may not make in person?
So,
Are we aware of that?
No, to answer that question, we are aware that people have issues and they can't always make it.
But we're talking about specifically health issues. I don't want to be too.
No. So to answer your question, chapter 56 requires that any board member that cannot make a meeting must call us and tell us that they're not going to be in person, that they're going to be hybrid. There is no standing order that, oh, I know that she had heart surgery however many years ago is, a standing order.
Okay. Following up on chapter 56, when you saw Tolene not making any meetings in person, but she was making it virtual, did you ever ask her if she put in anything? Because as I think somebody said before, it's supposed to be the chair who's taking attendance. So did you and Beatrice have a conversation about her lack of attendance of the reason why you raised that?
not specifically with Toleen, but we've had a conversation. I've had lots of conversations with our chair Beatrice regarding everybody's attendance.
But we're specifically talking about Tony's attendance because everybody testifies she's been here for years. No, I'm just trying to.
No, but
I don't want to be too general. I just want to be specific to certain things because I think what happens is that everything is a case by case basis. So I certainly understand that. But I also understand that if there's a type of knowledge of something, I just wanted to be kind of clear on what it is because I think that you are articulating exactly why you are talking about quorum. But I'm also trying to understand is there exclusion, like is there like the full thought process of that? Secondly, lastly, since you answered that, for Carla, were you aware that that was a committee that Carla was speaking of? Because when you guys had your email conference going back and forth correspondence, you were not aware of that committee.
No, I'm aware of the committee. The conversation regarding the committee had not met for more than a year. And ad hoc committees basically are disbanded. You have to vote for it every year. We were having a conversation at the time about reducing committees. And again, this was a conversation with the chair, Beatrice Cornell. And it should be noted, I have all of these conversations with Beatrice. Beatrice is fully aware. Nobody, and my attitude with board members and stuff like that, and communication with board members, we get stuff constantly. We share it. Then we have conversations like you have. So the chair is not responsible for taking attendance. The borough president calls us after every monthly meeting and says, I want the attendance because they keep a roll. So I've had conversations, and again, it's a public meeting. I'm not trying to embarrass board members, but we've had very sensitive conversations about board members that we're marking them present, even though they're not. One of the many provisions for Chapter 56 is you have to be on camera all the time. You have to be on camera all the time, and you have to send us an email or some communication, call the office, whatever, to notify us that you're not going to be present. And there has to be a full here in person in order for the attendance to count. So prior to, for example, Toleen will know this, and this was one of the concerns. As a matter of fact, we had this problem at our last full board meeting. We had quorum here, but if you recall, standing committee number 2, which has our first committee, didn't have quorum for their meeting, which is why they had to vote and have basically a Parks Committee meeting during the full board meeting.
Which I think we kind of understand the whole quorum thing. I think we're still getting the way of the whole fact that we have hybrid and then we have people who are unable to make because they have situations and because the other issue that I'm having is that Beatrice is being brought up a few times about conversations and stuff that we don't know. We can't speak on something we don't know. So I'm not going to touch that. That's in regard of like how you guys handle when it comes to attendance, but we can't go 100% off of like, because at this point it's just like hearsay. It's like she's not here to say, like what the conversation was. How are you guys handling attendance? Because at the end of the day, we're speaking of one board member's attendance that you had a statement about publicly on YouTube about. So I just want to like fully focus on that and fully focus on the parliament. But thank you for this.
Okay. Yep, Jolene.
One last.
Yeah.
Just quickly. I'm understanding George saying that if he had note or whatever he had to do, that is because the statement I would be that she worked for the city, right? We as board members, I don't ever remember anyone telling me I had to call in at every meeting. I had to bring in any notification all this time concerning my surgery. So I just want to be clear, the difference in his note and what he was stating, I don't work for the city anymore.
No, I'm not requiring. Chapter 56 requires that board members notify the board, any board member that is not going to be present. This happens with a lot of board members call us that have childcare issues, and they'll say, hey, I can't make it tonight, I'll be online. I have a childcare issue. And that's one of, again, our chapter 56 is broad. You guys voted to sort of restrict it. It's now more restricted. So, you know, but yes, that's actually what you voted for in the last school board. Chapter 56 is, George Torres didn't make up that rule. That was a rule by the open meetings law. You have to specify, you know, why you're not. And we hardly get any of those that information. We get a handful of board members that call, but that's about it. But yes, we are aware that Colleen had surgery.
Okay, I think we've, heard everything. I'm going to make a motion that the parties can submit any additional responsive, not new allegations, any kind of responsive documents, anything in that packet, anything that was said today by January 10th, and that the committee will issue a report shortly thereafter.
2 people are in favor.
Guys, make it quick. All right, who's first?
Versus him.
Go ahead. Who?
Denise and then Alfredo.
Denise, go ahead.
I just want to just clarify something because again, on something I said regarding George apologizing, I did not know that he apologized. So I just want to take that back from the comments I made. I did not know that he apologized. So I just want to just be clear on that.
Okay, thank you, Alfredo. Denise, did you have one final thing to say? Oh, Carla. Go ahead, Carla.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to say that the bylaws are a little unclear about how many times a person with a permanent condition must call in. Right. So Tolene had a heart transplant. She's not going to, it's not going to change. Other people might have MS, Parkinson's, right? Those things don't go away. So, maybe we need to address this in the bylaws. So,
Okay,
I'm just putting it out there.
All right, fair enough. All right, so I'm going to re-raise this motion I've been trying to get heard. And it's to adjourn tonight and allow submission of final responses by January 10th, and for the committee to make a decision thereafter. Do I have a second on the motion?
I second the motion.
Wayne seconds the motion. All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Motion is approved. Parties can respond by January 10th, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Motion
Good night.
Good night, guys.
unanimous.